Hello students, today we'll start our next topic of the chapter motion and measurement of distances. So the topic is motion. So let us see what are the different types of motions in the video.
It's Sammy, the neighbor's cat. He's disturbed my sleep once again. I will have to get up and chase him out. But I don't feel like moving out of bed. But wait, I don't need to move out of bed. I'll just use my brilliant machine to chase Sammy away. Here we go. Here you go, Sammy. Let me show you what happens when I tug on the string. The bell starts ringing. The noise wakes up my lazy hamster, Golu, and he starts running on the wheel. Now do you see that shiny red ball on the belt? The ball starts rolling and falls into one pan of the weighing scale. On the other pan is Sammy. And out goes Sammy. That was brilliant, wasn't it? I have used all that I learned at school to make this machine. Are you interested to see how it works? Let's start with what happens when I pull the bell. The end of the string is tied to a bell. So when I tug on it, the bell rings. Now concentrate on the bell. When the bell is rung, the clapper inside the bell repeats its motion from left to right and back. Do you know what type of motion this is? This type of motion is called periodic motion. Can you think of some other examples that use periodic motion in your daily life? Do you see the wheel on which Golo was running? What kind of motion does a point on the spoke of the wheel have? As the wheel moves, a point on any of the spokes remains at the same distance from the center of the wheel. This type of motion is called circular motion. Where else have you seen objects moving in a circular motion? Look up at the ceiling fan. Now look closely at the red ball and the plank. The ball rolls down the plank in a straight line, doesn't it? Ball moving along the straight line is an example of rectilinear motion. Since the ball is rotating while moving forward, we could also say that this is an example of rotational motion. That was easy, wasn't it? I'm feeling really sleepy now. See you later.
Types of motion. Motion is defined as the change in position of an object with reference to a point and time. Broadly categorized, it is one of two types, uniform or irregular. A car traveling down an empty stretch of the highway at a constant speed will cover equal distances in equal intervals of time. This is an example of uniform motion. Irregular motion, on the other hand, is when the same car will cover unequal distances in equal intervals of time, or vice versa. Motion can also be classified as translatory, rotatory, or oscillatory. Translatory motion is simply the movement of an object from one point to another, meaning there will be a change in the object's location. A ball dropped from a height travels in a straight line from one point to another. This form of translatory motion is referred to as rectilinear motion or simply linear motion. Let's look at the movement of the planets. Planets orbit the sun in a curved path, beginning at a given point and returning to that point after a period of time. Such translatory motion is known as curvilinear motion. Rotatory motion is motion in a circular path around a fixed axis. Planets, such as our Earth, rotate about their axes. A pendulum in a clock exhibits a periodic swing between 2 points. This back and forth motion about a mean position is known as oscillatory motion. A similar but slightly different motion can be seen in the repetitive back and forth movement of the piston in an internal combustion engine. Such motion is known as reciprocating motion. A guitar string, when plucked, will also show small back and forth movements, known as vibratory motions. Summary. Motion is defined as a change in the position of an object with reference to a point and time. Translatory motion is the movement of an object from one point to another. Translatory motion in a curved path is curvilinear motion. Rotatory motion is motion in a circular path. Back and forth motion about a mean position is an oscillatory motion. Repetitive back and forth movement is a reciprocating motion.
Motion. Motion is the changing of an object's position. Let's consider a stationary rubber ball that's just sitting on a table. The ball is not in motion and is said to be in a state of rest. If we use even just a small amount of force to push the ball, it will move from its original position. The force created by our gentle push has set the ball in motion. There are several types of motion. In our example of the rolling ball, the ball moved in one direction, and we would say the movement is straight line. We call this motion that is in a straight line linear or rectilinear motion. Now, let's think about the wheel of a bicycle. Like our ball, a moving bicycle will display a linear motion because it moves in a straight line from one place to another. If we look at the bicycle's wheel, we can see that it keeps turning in a circular path. Such circular motion of an object that moves at a fixed distance from a fixed point is called rotary motion. The toy top that children sometimes play with is another example of rotary motion, but in a different way. When the top is spinning, it keeps moving in a circular path. Now, let's look at a wall clock. The second hand of the clock exhibits rotational motion. The pendulum of the clock is also in motion as it keeps moving from side to side. This type of swinging motion is an oscillating motion. The pendulum comes back to the same position at regular intervals of time. An oscillatory motion that repeats at regular intervals is a periodic motion. This form of motion can also be seen in a bouncing ball and a vibrating string. Summary. Motion is the process of changing the position of an object. Motion in a straight line is known as linear or rectilinear motion. Motion in a circular path is rotational motion. Swinging motion is an oscillatory motion.
So we have covered all the topics in this chapter through these videos. So do see them nicely and try to clear your topics. I'll share you question answers directly in the group.